All right, guys, welcome back. We are watching ReZero Season 2, Episode 12. Last time, well, we got a taste of death. That is for sure. Everything was just terrible. I don't know what we are going to do from here. Like, what is Subaru gonna do? I don't know what we're even trying to do to get out of this situation. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, the base goal that Subaru always has is not dying and having everyone around him not die, right? I just have no idea how we're supposed to escape this web that it feels like we are trapped in. God, I don't know. I just wonder immediately how Subaru is going to cope with the events of the last episode, right? So I guess we'll see. So we're watching episode 12. You can line your own copy up with this if you want to. We are starting in 3, 2, 1. Yep. Oh my god. I'm just thinking, like, yeah, Amelia's right there. He immediately has to. God, what do we do? Ooh, yeah, man. Sure. He seems okay, okay, okay. Yeah. Okay, no, he seems to be taking this so much better than I thought he would. Okay. Okay, 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 okay. All right, all right. If he's ooh, I suppose, I guess. He's this confident. I am surprised. Man. Sure. Just such a question there. Yeah, right. Hmm. Sure, sure. Yeah. I assume, just like Beatrice, it's a connection to Echidna, right? Obviously. Don't want to be like him, that's for sure. But how do we avoid being like him? Yeah, Echidna. Uh, yeah. She said, what did she say? She had something she wanted to ask Subaru next time, right? Something she wanted to say to him. Pride. Oh, okay. Ooh, ooh, seems different, maybe. No? Okay. Oh. Behold an unthinkable presence. Oh. Oh. Oh my god. I see, yeah. It's like a continuation of that timeline, right? That's how Rosewall said he thought it worked too. Oh my god. Yeah, how unbelievable that was, huh? Like from their perspectives. That's you though. Ah. No kidding, right? Fits so much with the way he's been viewing Return by Death lately. Oh. Yeah, exactly. And that's how he's been thinking about Return by Death in the past few episodes. Oh, God, and it's been like that every time, huh? Or at least that's how it could be. I will probably never know, right? If that's reality or not. Yeah. Because, I mean, just imagine it from Amelia's perspective. Like, Oh God. And that's like his voice, right? I mean, that's what it sounds like. Oh, after this, yeah. Uh, I wonder if she was able. He had an admirable reason this time. Oh, but if you think of it like that, yeah, that is not. How awful that has to be for Ferris, the one who did it, even at his request there. Hmm. But it's like the thing is that's where it's leading him. Oh my god, again. Yeah. That's where that kind of mentality leads him to, right? Oh, after this. Yeah. Man. God, this is one of the worst timelines, right? Like, yeah, this was after Beatrice formed a contract with him, right? Oh, yeah, but she, in this situation, of course, she must have thought that he was that person, right? Ah, yeah. Not that Ram would at all be in the attitude to care. Oh, episode 15. Yeah. God, what happened? Just he destroys the world, right? Reinhard. Hi. I guess if anyone could be a match for Puck, huh? Forever asleep. Yeah. Yeah. He and I are equally guilty. Because he failed to protect her, I suppose. Subaru, right? Both of them. Well, I suppose. Just destroying the world because it's part of the contract, huh? Man, I wonder if he's stronger than Puck, huh? Oh, seems like it. Oh. We had some questions about this ending recently. Right, right. She really just did it on her own, huh? Yeah. Oh. Oh. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Oh, God. Forcing him to come to terms with return by death in that way, right? Maybe the only way to shock him out of his mentality that he's developed about it. Is that Rem? Her voice? What are we doing now? Yeah. Well, it can't be real. Whatever it is kind of cruel, huh? But maybe this is what he needs, in a way. If only, right? Oh, the music. Of course you are. You've done a lot. uh, I see. Yeah, then that's just too much to cope with, right? Like, that is just unthinkable. Right. Oh. And yet, yeah, sadly, I I get it, but I sadly, I you can't because you're not here. So, oh, that's just not realistic, unfortunately. Like, what is this? You know? Would Subaru want this? You know? Yeah, it really is. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Because he wouldn't give up, you know? Rim wouldn't tell him to, you know? Not take it all for him. She essentially said exactly that she can't do that for him, you know? Exactly, yeah. Hmm. Is this another part of the trial? Sure. Sure. In a way. Right, right. And his rejection of that by himself is very powerful, honestly. Yeah. Oh, that's not her, whatever this is. What are you? Okay. Someone. Hi there. Pink hair. Oh. The Witch of Lust. Okay. Not how I imagined the Witch of Lust would be, but I think that makes sense. Because think about what she embodied moments ago, right? Yes, yeah. Is this Nautico's save? I think it is, right? Oh, wanted to see me that way. It definitely is, yeah. What's her name? Hana Kanazawa? Oh. So it's because Subaru wanted that in some way, wanted her to appear as Rem. That kind of makes sense for the Witch of Lust, right? Oh. I guess that also makes sense for the Witch of Lust, huh? Naturally, naturally, an evil scheme. She told you that. She told you she's a very evil magic user. Most effective method for what? Oh. Oh, he had to face his past. That was him facing the present. Right, right. Hmm. The way that she, like, uses his emotions like this, it's very, I don't think he's a fan of it, you know? Because hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's the present. Okay. So it's not real, of course. Which of envy's authority? Sure. I would never even want to know. I would never want to know, right? Like, man, it would be pointless to even know. It would just be awful. Sure, right? I... maybe. If you say so. Okay, I don't disagree. Just when that comes from you, Echidna, yeah, it's exactly, right? The words are kind of hollow, it seems. Oh, shut up. Don't stop doing that. Like, yeah. Ooh, oh, form a contract with her. I don't think we should, considering what it's done to Beatrice, and perhaps to Rosewall, and Puck. Can use my power in some way. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm an easy way out. Exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. Almost like what Rem was offering him. Right? Someone he can always talk to that, another angle, right? Well, of course. She really wants you to. Hmm. But why do you want that? I assume it comes back to knowledge for some reason, right? Is there more you will get out of it? Oh, Oh, God. It's really excited, huh? Really excited. Yeah, uh-huh, uh-huh. Smooth, smooth. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, no. I wonder how the Witch of Envy would react to him forming a contract with another witch. Oh, God. Let's not do that. Let's wait. No, oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. What was her name again? Witch of Wrath, whatever her name was. Minerva? Was that her name? She's crying as always. It's against the ideals of justice. Witch of Wrath, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Natch, of course. An evil scheme must be put to an end. True. Right, right. Okay. Sure, sure. Uh-huh, uh-huh. I exactly. She hasn't really given us any details. Yeah. God, she really just is permanently throwing a fit, huh? That's her thing. Okay. What? Yeah, knowledge, right? Sure. Kind of more than knowledge. It's almost like she herself would be, yeah, like taking him over in a way, She would be him. Yeah, in a way, right? He would still be there, but like she would also be him, right? Oh God. She's so, man. Why are half of them so helpless? Super, remember to breathe, please. Yeah, they both seem kind of emotionally unstable. But I trust them more than you, Echidna. Oh God, I don't know about that. Oh, hi there. This is Sloth. Yeah. What's her name? Sekhmet. Well, she looks pretty slothful, I suppose. She keeps like sighing after every sentence. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Oh God, they're all here. Oh God. Not again. Not a tea party. They're really all fighting over him now, huh? Yeah, yeah. Okay. She sure did say that. Yeah. I don't know how much we can trust that. I j- I just don't think that's possible. I think that's a very unrealistic thing to expect or even believe is possible, right? No? Okay. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But okay. All right. All right. It sure is, especially for Yeah, you could use it so much better, I'm sure, right? You could literally achieve anything. Exactly. Exactly. Oh man. Exactly, and probably shape your path along the way to what she wants, right? Right. Sure, sure. Right, right, right. Uh-huh, uh-huh. I suppose. How nice that sounds. My maidenly heart's affection for you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, she wants it more than anything. Because it's infinite power, infinite knowledge, infinite of everything. Yeah, yeah. Oh, God. What a thing to say, huh? Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Can't control her greed. Oh, sure, yeah. This situation, we can solve it so easily. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh-huh, uh-huh. I think you might be overpitching it a little bit, Echidna, unfortunately. Oh, God. Mm-hmm. If you say so. God. Right. How tempting, I'm sure. Oh, of course, right? He doesn't want to use people and be used, though. He wants not that, right? So different from like what Rem said about like being able to lean his head on her shoulder and the other way around, you know? Yeah. Ah. The sad thing is I feel like he had so much hope. He had so much hope for Echidna because she is the one person that he could like talk to like this about Return by Death, you know? Oh, yeah. Oh, it just feels like it's been fake the whole time. Yeah, yeah. Because it has been, right? Like her attitude has always been, oh God. Right. Her attitude has always been perfectly constructed for Subaru, you know? Right. Okay. What do we got? Oh. Yeah. Deeply involved in her birth. Same with Puck, right? Uh-huh, uh-huh. Library of Knowledge, yep. She probably doesn't know. It could be anyone, right? I'm sure that person doesn't have to be anyone in specific, right? It could be Subaru. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. It's like Beatrice in that sense. Yeah, yeah. It's like she's trapped herself in a way, right? By imagining what that person should be. Of course, Echidna set up the situation, right? Uh huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The problem is she. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What? Very interesting to you, huh? Ah, it fulfills her curiosity, I'm sure, right? Nothing more. Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Ah, she's been quite clear with that. Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, he has to reject it. He has to reject it. Oh, God. Yeah, yeah. Her. You have to free her. Her. Right. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, God. What is. But now it's. Oh, no. Is it. Yeah. Satella, I assume. I don't think you can eat her, unfortunately. Oh, God. Oh, the great. Typhon's real excited to see her. Yeah. Oh, there she is. Yeah. Great. Great. The witch's tea party. That was quite the tea party. Okay. um, we'll talk about the episode in the discussion. Okay, let's talk about the episode. So, this is a rough one for Subaru for a lot of reasons. Echidna has kind of revealed herself for what she kind of always has obviously been, which is someone who just wants to use Subaru for her own purposes, essentially, right? It was immediately obvious to me when she first showed up with how powerful she is and how like blatantly she was like just trying to tempt Subaru with like her knowledge and all of this, It was clear she always wanted to use Return by Death for her own purposes in this way, right? The thing that sucks, of course, is like, God, what episode was it? The episode where he told her about Return by Death, right? It was the first time he finally had someone that he could talk to about Return by Death, the first person ever, right? I mean, and she brings that up as a reason he should accept the contract, that it's finally a person that he could actually like, that he can talk to about Return by Death. It's crazy. Um, and that would be very nice to have like an outward, like an outside, another opinion on like his actual stuff going on. And he has to reject her because of what she has revealed herself to be, right? Like her mentality about like wanting to use Subaru and be used in return. I think this episode did a good job of making you think about it, right? With it's the exact opposite essentially of from episode 18, like the motivation that Rem gave him, right? Like this idea of like supporting other people in like this mutually beneficial way for each other. The way that Subaru was able to do so much for Rem, and Rem wanted to be there to support Subaru in the same way. They didn't use each other. It wasn't anything like what Echidna is pitching here, you know. What Echidna is pitching is essentially the exact opposite, right? She is, like, this is just a horrible negative way to view that kind of relationship, you know, this idea of using each other, right? So, of course, Subaru he has to reject it. He just has to reject it. And I guess the question of this, the question that I have, since Echidna has been so blatantly revealed to be like a evil, kinda, right? It depends what you mean by evil. Evil is subjective, of course. In my opinion, something like Echidna, where she has this complete disregard for emotions and like this kind of thing, that's evil to me, right? I guess my question is, are all of the witches like this in some way then, you know? Like the Witch of Wrath, she's all about justice and all of that, you know. But I just wonder, she is still a witch. she's still one of the witches representing a sin, right? Since they all represent sins, you just can't help but think they all have to have some part to them that is probably not that great, right? I don't know. It just really makes you think. Of course, I doubt after this that Subaru is going to ever again have like a very positive view of a witch like this, like he was having with Echidna. You know what I mean? Also, I forgot to say this. I was wrong. Carmilla, the Witch of Lust, her voice actress isn't the same as Nautico from Monogatari, which is crazy to me. They sound like the same. But I guess I'm just wrong, so that's insane. I don't know. I guess they speak very similarly, and that's what I thought. But that's crazy to me. I guess maybe I was hallucinating audibly. I really couldn't tell you. Anyway, let's go through the episode more specifically. So, Subaru, honestly, after the events of the last episode, which is probably the worst timeline he has ever lived through, like the worst events ever. Like what happened with Rosewall, everyone dying, right? Like he had these very emotional moments immediately followed by everyone dying horribly. Like with Beatrice and what happened to Amelia, right? His mentality about this is so much better than I ever thought it would be. I thought he was going to be like broken after this, you know? But he's not. He's got it. He's got it down. He has motivation now, which is like crazy. She turned out that way because I wasn't with her, and I was going on about how I didn't want her to look sad. Amelia, are you okay? And he is here to comfort her yet again. Well, for one, what this makes me think of is, what was it, 2 episodes ago? When Subaru woke up and was kind of freaking out, right? And all of that stuff happened, right? I said, like, and Amelia, I can't speak. Amelia was the one who, like, kind of comforted him in that moment, despite what she was going through, right? And I said, like, I was kind of surprised that she was able to do that, and it almost felt like she got some kind of, like, strength from that, right? That maybe, you know, helping other people in that way is something that actually is, like, good for her, right? But I wonder if that's actually the wrong way to think of it. And it's actually similarly in the same vein of, like, what she was doing in the last episode when she, like, mentally broke completely, right? And was, like, giving Subaru just what she thought he would want in that situation, you know? At the cost of her own emotions and feelings, right? Because in that moment, of course, she was dealing with this horrible effects of the trial, right? The psychological torture of it for her, you know? So it makes a lot of sense if she genuinely just wants Subaru to be there to support her through this, right? Like, of course, you know? To talk more specifically, Subaru's thoughts here, right? She turned out that way because I wasn't with her, and I was going on about how I didn't want her to look sad. I just wonder, like, where he's going to take this, right? Like, it's interesting how he thinks of it in this way, right? Like, how, because he wasn't there for her, she, like, broke mentally completely, because she didn't have anyone to support her, right? A good way he could take this is, like, apply this to himself as well, how just like everyone else, just like her, and just like him, I think he has some recognition of it for himself ever since, like, episode 18, talking to Rem. Everyone needs support like that from people around them, right? Right now, Amelia has no one. Puck isn't here. She's in a hostile environment. There's no one here for her but you, right? You kind of, like, it is a good thing for you to step up and be that person for her, right? But just the potential negative outcome of this, because Subaru is so prone to doing this, is, like, it being this weight on his shoulders that he just takes too far, right? This idea, like, viewing it in this way of, like, this function he has to, like, fulfill, and that's like all it is. You know what I mean? Instead of viewing it in like emotionally healthy way, like trying to be for her what Rim was for him, you know? It's like I don't know. It's yet to be seen how he's actually gonna continue with like that this mindset about it, you know. Obviously, him and Amelia have made a lot of progress, right? Like he has had if he hadn't just left in a couple episodes ago, right? If he hadn't left after he had that conversation with her like in the moonlight and all of that, you know, um then I think everything would have went really well, right? There was a really good talk they had, right? So I think he does already have a good mindset towards this idea of like being there for her and supporting her, right? And I think he models that behavior after like the way Rim has been for him before, right? He just has to be able to go through with it without like making it a whole thing, because he loves to make things into a whole thing, if you know what I mean. So I guess we'll see about that, right? So as always, he wakes her up. He's here to support her. He's here to support her, right? He'll save Amelia and the sanctuary and the mansion too. I'll save every last one of them, even if it costs me my life. Which is again just I don't know if that's a good thing to think, right? Like sacrificial bravery is great and all. But from someone like Subaru, I don't think it comes from that kind of place, right? As always, it comes from I think this place of not valuing himself enough, right? That's kind of where it always comes from for him, right? I just and it's like this episode kind of gives him a taste of this isn't as extreme, I guess, as like what he was saying about Returned by Death last time. This is in the same vein though. It kind of gives him a taste of like what it would mean to do that, right? Like even if it costs him his life, well, what's the point in saving them all if you just die and leave them all behind, right? He sees what that would mean for them, you know? I mean, like, I don't want to say Subaru's everything to them, right? I believe Amelia is a strong person. She would be able to survive without Subaru, right? She'd be able to do it. It would just be really hard and awful. And it's like that isn't a goal that Subaru should be trying to achieve, right? There is a much better future than the one where you die for all of them, right? Of course, leaving aside the fact that Return by Death kind of makes that impossible, right? You know what I mean, right? Like, the biggest problem is Rosewall. He knew that I've been looping. Even if he didn't know that I have to die to do it. Exactly, so he knows there is looping, right? I guess the way I assume is he had this knowledge that someone like Subaru was going to exist, right? If he knew it was Subaru right away, I just don't think he did, right? It felt like he had to confirm it, right? Like when in the last episode when him and Subaru were talking and Rosewall was like pointed out when Subaru said like, oh, over and over, you know, it's like Rosewall wasn't sure if it was Subaru, right? Now it's like confirmed, right? Well, kinda, you know, he's kind of back in that stage now at the start of this loop where it's like he's not entirely sure, maybe, right? I think he's very suspicious of Subaru, obviously. But he knew about the looping, right? Just he knew that it would exist in some way, right? Like it sounds like to me that this book of wisdom is kind of unspecific, right? He knew there would be someone with Return by Death, or with the ability to loop. He didn't know about the death part, he didn't know it would be Subaru specifically, right? And Subaru he's been able to figure out that it's Subaru, right? He won't condone anything that goes against what's written, and if he does, he won't balk at using my loops to redo it. Exactly. What's forcing him to do all that? And it feels like, of course, this whole situation, this whole crazy web that's set up here, the situation we're in this arc, is somehow specifically set up to guide Subaru's actions towards something, right? It feels like it's set up to guide Subaru to stay in the sanctuary and have Amelia go through the trial, I guess, right? Either have Amelia go through the trial or have Subaru do it for her. And it seems like it's designed to, you know, shape Amelia's like attitude in a specific way, right? Because I think the reason why Elsa's at the mansion is to make Subaru be unable to go back there, right? He's locked in. He has to go through this first, right? By doing that, you can become like me. Don't want to be like him. Not ever. So Subaru wants to turn to Echidna, of course, right? And this is what makes what he has to do at the end of the episode even worse, right? The fact that again, it's like Echidna is just the one person he can turn to at a time like this, right? He's never had something like this where we can turn to someone who like knows what's going on and like talk to them, you know? He doesn't have that, you know? Because again, he can't tell people about return by death, right? So, yeah, it's rough. I'll give you my life as many times as you want it, or my pride, or anything else. Every time the idea of pride comes up, it's very, very interesting to me, right? Because the pride is quite the subject, right? With what Petalgeese said about Subaru and pride, you know. It makes me wonder, right? Because Typhon's the Witch of Pride, right? It doesn't seem like Typhon has any specific interest in Subaru, you know? There's no. I guess we still have no idea what the actual connection between the witch's cult and the witches is, you know? Um, like, for example, if there was some deep connection between Sekhmet, the Witch of Sloth, and Petalgeese, I mean, Subaru's the one who killed Petalgeese. Subaru apparently has the what did Beatrice call it? He doesn't have something about sloth, right? Was it like witch factor or something of sloth, something like that, right? Sekhmet didn't say anything about that, you know. I don't know. It's still so unclear to me what the witches' cult actually is to the witches, you know. Obviously, they're very focused on Satella, the Witch of Envy, right? And maybe that makes sense because we know Satella is the one who, like, ate all of the other witches, right? Like, consumed them all in some way. Their souls, like, exist despite that, you know? I don't know. So Subaru, he's going through the next part of the trial now, which is to face the present. Behold an unthinkable present, right? Which is I guess this is the only way that the present could be part of the trial like this. You know, obviously, the last part of the trial is going to be the future, right? But I guess the only way the present can exist like this is essentially like, yeah, alternative presents, right? Different timelines, you know? How else do you face the present other than like going through what Subaru's going through, right? I don't know. But what it shows him is this recreation of what Return by Death could be, right? And it's like you can't help but think, I wonder how much of this is just because of what Rosewall said at the end of the last episode, right? Because Rosewall clearly has this view of Return by Death, this idea that every timeline individually continues on, you know? Subaru definitely doesn't like that idea, right? Like, imagine this, you know? Like, after he killed himself upon finding Rem like this, you know? Oh, God. Just think about, from Amelia's perspective, what this would be like, you know? Yeah, they try and heal him. It's just impossible, you know? What the purpose that this makes him face, right, is this mentality that he's had about return by death, right? He developed this mentality about return by death, thinking his own life is pointless. He needs to use return by death purely as a tool, ignore any effects it will have on him or anything like that, right? And this is showing him the potential consequences of that, right? Where he will be led eventually if he continues to do that, right? Because it's like he can't have return by death forever, right? I mean, obviously, I think he's going to have it till like the end of the story, but if he had this mentality till the end, he can't help. There will be some moment where he will die for real. And what if it's a situation like this, right? Like, or what if this is the reality of return by death? You know, that would be the worst thing ever. I wouldn't even want to know. You know, like, oh man, yeah. His soul is already gone. You're leaving behind everyone you cared about, forcing all of the pain and suffering on us. Yeah, that's what you do when you view yourself in this way, right? And return by death in this way, you know? And it's not even just upon your death. I feel like it's like him not. It's just his attitude in general, I feel like, right? Like, obviously, people around him are so nice and have been so supportive, like Rem and Amelia, right? Um, but him viewing his own problems in this way and always pushing them to the side, this kind of is the ultimate. That's where this is going to end up. You know what I mean? It's going to end up like this, you know? God. Face another unthinkable present. The world looked after I died, yeah. After Ferris killed him, after Petalgeese took over his body, yeah. At least this one, I guess this one wasn't as terrible, right? The sad thing about this one is at least in this case he didn't kill himself, right? This one was truly unavoidable, right? He truly did his best in this life, right? He even decided, I mean, I guess he decided to die, right, in the end, but it was because Betelgeuse took him over, you know? In this case, it was kind of a noble death, in a sense, you know? Obviously, it's awful, right? And it still shows it's like, this would be reality if he didn't have Return by Death, you know what I mean? Like, this would be it, right? Like, yeah, man. Just more and more and more of them. Just so many unthinkable presents. This one, yeah. Obviously, this episode is so much more meaningful now. Now that we know this truth about Beatrice, yeah, that person, right? Just like, in this moment, she must have thought Subaru in some way had to be that, you know? Ah, God. Yeah. Okay, this one's crazy. Reinhardt fighting Puck. I guess Reinhardt is stronger, right? Like, man. Trying to destroy the world, yeah. Hmm. It's interesting. Puck is kind of similar to Rosewall in this way, right? He has this one focus that he really cares about, which is Amelia, and he destroys the world if he loses it, you know? It's similar, right? How Rosewall said about how, you know, there's one thing that's the most important thing, and you sacrifice everything for it, you know? Puck is very selfish in that way, right? I just destroys the world if he doesn't get what he wants in that sense, right? I feel like you could also apply it to Return by Death and to Subaru in like a weird way. It's just Subaru takes it the other way, you know. He takes all the pain and suffering onto himself, you know. Of course, I not understanding the way that can hurt the people around him still, you know. It's like I guess the message behind this obviously is that it's impossible to go about your life the way Subaru wants to right now, right? Like you can't, you know. It's impossible to truly take everyone's burdens onto yourself entirely, you know. This death, which I hoped we were going to get a little bit more, but I guess we didn't. But it's very interesting, right? About this idea that this was the moment that somehow formed this deep connection between Subaru and Satella, you know? Who knows? Because in this moment, he thought this was Satella, right? He didn't know what that meant, but still, very, very interesting, right? That's the end of it. Wasn't a very rewarding job at all. God, killed everyone. Rem? Rem really did just do this by herself, right? Yeah. All of these deaths. So, was this him, I'm trying to think, which timeline even would this be right here? Oh, him just dying in his sleep. Duh. Yeah, yeah. From the shaman's curse, right? Yeah. Yep. Yep. All of these lives, all of these timelines. An unthinkable present. And here is Rem. Which it's so cruel. It really is so cruel. And like it's very cruel. I feel bad for Carmilla, for the Witch of Lust, because apparently this is just a power she has that she has no control over. I suppose, right? It seems like what she said is it's just whatever people want to see her as, that is what she is, right? Which makes sense for the Witch of Lust, right? Because I mean that's kind of the ultimate form of lust, right? She represents everyone's desires perfectly, right? Because it's whatever they want is what they see her as, you know. It makes sense it takes form of this like deeply emotional thing for Subaru, because of course that's what he really desires, right? Oh, that's what he's always desired, you know. Is this, you know, like what he wants so badly in this moment, what he's pursuing right now is Echidna for like her understanding of this situation, what he thinks he would get from her, right? If he could turn to Rim in this moment, that would be so much better, you know? Oh man. But he can't, you know? But of course, that's what he wants, right? Your very own all-purpose, ever-useful maid. Ah, maybe I'm tired, but I haven't even done anything yet. He always says things like that, right? If I were stronger, smarter, and capable of a lot more, they wouldn't have had to hurt and suffer so much. It's like, if the world was still going after I died, how many times did I just leave them all to die? And I understand his regrets so much, right? The idea that he's failed too much, right? That it's unacceptable that it's taken him this many chances, this many tries, right? It requires him to be so strong to keep going despite all that he's faced, you know? it's like we've said it before, the idea that return by death really is a form of like torture in a way, right? Because it's impossible for him to give up, right? That's what we face in this moment between him and Rem, right? Like in episode 18 and here, right? How much easier it would be to just give up, right? And return by death doesn't let him, you know? Um, yeah, it's like because he realistically he has to face like his failures much more than other people do in that way, you know? Like just these extreme failures like this, right? Of course, I mean, I guess I would shy away from even calling them failures, because it's like the things he's had to do are so hard and are so difficult, and he's so harsh on himself despite that, you know? He just has such high expectations of himself. The world was still going after I died. How many times did I just leave them all to die? Yeah. How many times did I let you die? How many times do I have to kill you? Exactly. Yeah. How many times does this have to happen for me to get what I want? You know, like it makes it all. If that is the reality of Return by Death, it just must feel like it makes it all mean so much less. You know, because then it's like the truth is all of these universes that are horrible actually did happen, and he's not actually fixing anything. You know, if anything, it's like him continuing on to just making more and more of these failed universes. You know, like it's awful to think of it in that way. You know. Everything will be alright. Yeah, and sadly, that doesn't answer anything. Will take the place of everything you're feeling. Just entrust everything to me. But sadly, that isn't what Rim would say. That's the opposite, in a way, right? He would never rest. He can't sleep. No way, right? No way. So it's not Rim. It's easy to give up, but it doesn't suit you. See, that's the interesting thing. I wonder if Rim took this form and said these things because this is what Subaru would truly desire, right? He would want someone to tell him, "Oh, you can just give up now. It's okay," you know. And despite that, he fights on anyway, right? He fights against what he would truly desire in that way to just give up, you know. He doesn't do it, right? Yeah. It's easy to give up, but it doesn't suit you. Exactly. Yeah. That's what Rem said to him, right? In episode 18, the real Rem. Yeah. You listen to my troubles, let me vent my insecurities, and wring everything out of me until my tears ran dry, and then you'd say, now stand up. Exactly. You wouldn't just tell me to rest. You wouldn't tell me to give up and entrust everything to you. You're stricter with me than anyone else. Exactly. I'll show you my weakness and fragility. You need to do that more with Amelia too, frankly. But sure, you know, good attitude, good attitude. Exactly. I feel bad for Carmilla because I feel like is this not something she can control? I'm just not sure, right? Because she shows people their desires, or maybe she controls like showing people their desires, right? Because obviously she reverts back to like her real self, right? Um, but I wonder, normally, I assume, when she shows people their desires, it isn't like this, right? Because I think Subaru is in kind of a unique position, right? Where, kind of just like Typhon, with the whole, like, him not being a sinner, but him shattering to pieces anyway, right? Because he thinks of himself as one. It's interesting here because, like, that version of Rem could truly represent his desires, and yet he fights against it so actively, you know? And I imagine that's not something that Carmilla faces very often, right? We kind of talked about already about like this idea of lust, right? The witches always represent a sin, but it's like we kind of take it in like a different way, right? So Carmilla shows you your true desires, I suppose, right? But it's not, and you know, yeah, it's not really like lust in that way. Her eyes are they're so like cloudy, right? Her eyes look really weird, right? They really look weird. They look like blurry, right? Look very strange. They look like that later too, you know? I don't really know what to make of it, right? I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. But yeah, like for her, I guess it's kind of like this emotional lust almost. At least that's how it shows for Subaru, right? Because that's what he does truly desire. I think for almost everyone, it would be some kind of like emotional thing like that, right? Hmm. And her being so shy and like scared and nervous like this, I think that makes sense. Because it would be really rough to always be representative of someone's like perfect desires like that. I think that would be hard to like be confident in the face of that, you know? Sure. Echidna-chan said, going any further will endanger your life. So Echidna, yeah, Carmilla's faceless bride makes one forget to breathe while in her presence. And I guess that makes sense, right? Like, that's another part of, like, Lust, I imagine. Like, sure, like, I get the connection there, right? Hmm. An evil scheme, of course. I am a witch. After, yeah, that's what she told him. She told him that upon their first parting, right? That she's a very evil magic user, right? If I'd left things alone, your mind would have worn away to nothing in the trial. It's just that's infuriating to hear in a way, right? That Subaru needs this kind of validation from this fake version of Rem just to not fade away into nothing, you know? I don't know. That's just I don't like that, right? I bet Subaru doesn't like it either, of course. Hmm. I've resigned myself to accepting your rage. I'm sure, I'm sure. So now we know that Echidna has no emotions. That's at least that's kind of how I take it, right? Is that Echidna essentially it's all like a facade, right? The way she's been acting the whole time, like dressing herself up in the schoolgirl outfit, even the way she talks all the time, right? She talks in this very like cutesy way. She's very like she's very like the way she's been acting with Subaru, right? It's all just for Subaru's sake, right? It's all just to try and entice him, you know, like essentially she's a psychopath, right? A sociopath, maybe is the better way to say it, right? She doesn't understand emotions, I think, right? She has this mass amount of knowledge that she has gained, so she can replicate emotions that she thinks other people want to experience because she has all this knowledge about them and about emotions and all of this, you know. But it's not genuine, right? It's not real, right? Know what it is you want to know more than anything right now. Just like the first one, the second trial puts you in a world recreated from your memories. Yeah, so it's not real. It's a thoroughly well-constructed unreality. You're returned by death as the Witch of Envy's authority. Basically, only she knows whether the things you saw in your second trial happened in some reality. And who knows, I would never want to know. I would do everything in my life if I was Subaru to not learn if that's how it really works. Because it would be horrible. Like, I don't know how I would cope with that personally, right? And I don't, maybe the show will go into that and I'll have to, like, handle that. But, like, God, that would be rough, right? That would be rough. If anything else, if nothing else, I mean, certainly just the possibility of it working like that will make Subaru value his own life and not view Return by Death in this way anymore. I hope, right? Like it will allow him to claw back some amount of like caring for himself and his own, his own self-worth, like instead of counting the many people you may have failed to save, you should focus on counting the many you have saved. I don't, like, disagree with that, I suppose, right? It's just, it sounds so hollow coming from her, right? I know that you've given all of your strength, physical and mental, to survive thus far. It's like she's just trying to just butter him up so much, right? She's just trying to, like, it's just, not a single thing you've experienced on your way to this point has been a waste. And I agree. I agree with that. Echidna's sentiment behind it is just empty, but I don't disagree with her, right? I think the place that's coming from is, like, nonsense for her point of view. She's just trying to, like, trying to convince Subaru to make the contract. That's what it all comes down to, But you've arrived at this moment by doing everything in your power at the risk of your own life. That's something you should be proud of. And yet again, of course, we bring up the idea of pride. It's very interesting. Pride, 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 huh? Pride. Because what's interesting about pride, it's just like how all the witches represent this opposite of a sin, right? Subaru himself does in a way too, right? I feel like we've kind of talked about this before, but this idea that this person who's so broken has this broken view of themselves and of their own self-worth, their own self-esteem, being someone somehow representative of pride in that way, right? It would be interesting. It would be interesting, right? Why do you keep trying to help me like this? I think it's a little mean to first force a girl to spell that out for you. Like, Echidna, that is such a bad attempt at what you're trying to do right now. That's not gonna work. I'm sorry. Form a contract with her. A formal contract with her which agreed. I'm glad we don't. It seems like to me, from the way she describes the contract later, is it's almost like in the same vein of her like trying to clone herself and all of that, right? It's kind of like a form of immortality because like the way she described it is she'll essentially have all of Super's like sensations and feelings and thoughts and everything. She'll just be in his head permanently, right? It's like she'll get to experience the world through his body, right? It's almost like a resurrection for her, right? It's this ultimate way to gain more knowledge and everything because returned by death is infinite knowledge and power like that, you know? That's what it could be, you know? I guess if the Witch of Envy lets it be used in that way, you know. You never know, I guess. When you feel you're being crushed by the weight of your sins, I will give my support. I'm confident in the amount of knowledge I have. I should be able to come up with a way for you to deal with any problem. How tempting, how tempting. Well, of course she is, right? She's telling the selling points, right? Yeah, yeah. Hmm. That might not be such a bad idea. And she has an extreme reaction to that. Man. If you absolutely insist, I wouldn't mind entering into a contract. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. And God, he almost does it. He almost does it. Thank God the Witch of Wrath shows up to set this right. She seems to be just in a constant state of like throwing a fit. It's pretty endearing, honestly. She's really something, you know. So I can't help but wonder after the revelation, I guess, if you want to call it that, in this episode of the fact that Echidna is of course like evil, right? It makes you think: are all of the witches evil like that? Like, does the Witch of Wrath herself have some kind of evil side to her? She's a witch, right? All of the witches, I think, were like hated in some way, right? I mean, they're called witches, you know. But she's so much about justice and like, you know, like, right? I don't know. I guess I can imagine ways that could go bad, of course, you know, but hmm. Don't you have to swap places with other witches to let them appear? That's a lie. She's a bad-natured jerk who plays mean tricks like that for no reason. This isn't really an explanation for what she actually means by that. So what is the actual reality of this space then, right? So the witches can manifest themselves, but like Echidna stops them from doing so or something, right? I'm not sure, right? I didn't want to just keep popping witches into existence and let one of them take you from me. Yeah. Hmm. Stop being taken in so easily by all of Echidna's smooth talking. Exactly, exactly. She's really, yeah. Huh. Talking about your payment for contracting with me. I think calling it a bad thing is a bit of an exaggeration, though. Because of course she wouldn't think of it as one, right? He'd be able to achieve his goals, right? Very simple. Everything you feel, everything you think, everything that remains in your heart, the future as you know it, anything you accomplish, all the potential within you, all the fruit of the unknown that is born from your very existence. I want a taste of it. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Or like Carmilla, for example. Is she evil in some way? I guess I can understand why people would hate her as a witch, because apparently she kills people by them not breathing when she's near them. But I don't know. I don't know. Huh. And her eyes, yeah, in this shot, her eyes have that same like blurry quality too. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It is interesting. Hmm. Yeah, don't bother listening to them. They seem so emotionally unstable compared to her, right? So here's Sekhmet, our other new witch, the Witch of Sloth. This wouldn't be the promise you always proceed with in the end, would it? And who are you? The Witch of Sloth, Sekhmet. Sloth. Sloth, sloth, sloth. She seems pretty slothful in like a traditional sense. She ends every sentence by sighing, which is very cool. Um, and she's lying down, I guess. I guess I'm trying to think, like, how do we take the idea of sloth and kind of twist it in the same way that like other sins have we've done that with, you know? I don't know, I'm not sure, right? Petalgeese, it was always unclear what Petalgeese's relationship with sloth exactly was, right? It kind of seemed like he just hated it, right? Which is interesting. I'm only here as a watchdog to preserve the fairness of this place. Is that something about her, this idea of fairness? But it seems like we already kind of have that. You know what I mean? Hmm. I don't know. I guess we get so little of her. It's kind of unclear for me of how I could discern, like, in what way sloth is represented through her, you know? I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure yet, I guess. Everyone's here. There's Daphne. Well, not everyone. Everyone does show up by the end, of course. Hmm. Guide me to the best possible future. So, I think the issue with Echidna's thing here, obviously we already talked about the whole like using each other thing, how that goes so that's so contrary to like the lessons that Subaru has learned through his relationships with others this whole time, right? But it's also this idea of a best possible future even being possible, right? I think that's something that Subaru has to like give up on anyway, right? Like that's just not possible, right? He's already dealing with that through the loss of Rim, for example, right? I guess that's part of why Echidna telling him that she can grant that would be so attractive, right? Because then he could prevent something like that, you know. But the best possible future, it's pointless to think of pursuing it, right? There is no best possible future, right? There's always like a give and take. There's always you know, it's if you're always looking for the best possible future, I think you're always going to be stuck in the past worrying about what you should have or could have done to make everything better, you know, like it's just it's not realistic, you know. It's not something, not a mentality that Subaru should like agree to at all, right? By following the best possible path. Hmm. The best possible path too is of course, yeah, it's unrealistic. It's not possible. For the purpose of attaining the future you desire, you must accept any sacrifices made along the way. Yeah, yeah. So she really jumps into her whole spiel here. The return by death authority you possess is a tremendous thing. You do not fully understand how truly useful it is. It is literally infinite power, right? You could do anything, right? As long as you have the will for it, you can do anything. You could achieve anything, right? So of course, I mean, of course Echidna wants it. Of course Rosewall wants it. Of course everyone wants to use it, you know? Like, I guess it's unclear if the Witch of Envy, if Satella gives him this power, or if she herself is still someone just using it in some way, you know? Like, who knows? Who knows, right? It seems so closely linked to Satella that we want to say, obviously, that somehow she gave it to him, but it's unclear exactly, right? Hmm. You will use it to achieve the result you desire, and I will lend you all the wisdom you need to fulfill your wish. I expect all the results that come about in the process to contribute vastly to the satisfaction of my curiosity. We will agonize over, struggle with, and solve the same problems together. We will have the optimal relationship to achieve that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want you to use me to achieve your best possible future too, right? Yeah, using each other. Yeah. She really, that man, it's almost like, God, I'd be more than content to have you treat me as a convenience, right? It's like this. Subaru wants the opposite of this in relationships, right? That's why he just was able to reject Rim in that way. You know what I mean? Like the fake Rim, right? Like, yeah, no, it's just not gonna work, right? And I guess, I mean, if Echidna maybe had more knowledge, she maybe wouldn't have made this kind of pitch, you know? Because this would never work on Subaru, right? Just no way, right? Hmm. You like girls who give you everything, don't you? What a thing to say. God, that is just such an awful thing to say, really, right? Like the idea that in some way, like Rem, for example, has given him everything, right? Subaru would not like the idea of that, right? Or Amelia too, right? Like, because like it's not like Amelia is giving him anything. It's a mutually beneficial relationship, right? They are benefiting and supporting each other, right? It's like that's not giving the other person something. Like they aren't taking something from you, right? Ah, man. No one can satisfy my Wait, sorry. No one but you can satisfy my curiosity now. If you can use your power to save someone, I can. Oh God, I want you to save me. I cannot control my own greed. I believe you. I believe you. No matter what happens, I will guide you to the future you desire, and the sanctuary's liberation lies beyond that. Yeah, exactly. She'll fix this situation for you. Of course, of course. Yep, 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 yep. Oh man. And her face slowly morphs into this crazy Yeah, it's a vow of love, huh? How will you respond to my love? It's like it's the way Subaru himself is like viewing her now, right? It's this transformation into this, right? Yeah. One of the answers that will satisfy her curiosity. Of course, of course. Going to use me. Yeah. And it's this realization that she was never someone he could rely on. Yeah, that it's like he must blame himself and think he was so silly for ever thinking he could have any kind of like relationship with her at all, any kind of mutually beneficial, because of course not, right? Not with the Witch of Greed, right? Not with someone like this, and capable of understanding how anyone feels. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. When we next have a chance, I'll do just that. Oh God. There's one thing I wanted to ask you when I saw you again, and it's about Beatrice, right? About what she did to Beatrice, The really sad thing about what she did to Beatrice, that person thing, is it pretty much put Beatrice in a trap, right? Where Beatrice, the longer and longer she spent waiting for that person, imagining that, there was some specific person coming, the more and more like her expectations of what it has to be like heightened, someone who would free her from her eternal like curse, you know? So, it's just awful. It's just truly awful, right? And of course, I mean, it makes sense that a kid would want that in a way, because, I mean, Beatrice has a job for her, right? So, Beatrice never fulfilling that part of the contract kind of makes sense. She's the one handling the library the whole time, you know? Yeah, yeah. There is no that person, right? And I can't help but relate it back to, like, Subaru as well. This idea of there being no that person who is going to come along and fix everything for Subaru either, right? Because that isn't what Rem did for him. That isn't what Amelia did for him, right? It's this big collection of things, right? It was himself and him being willing to change and like do things as a person, and all of these other people having an effect on him, It's the idea of that person ever existing. It was always impossible, right? There was never going to be that person that would come along and fix everything for anyone, right? Hmm. I didn't force Beatrice to make that promise, so she'd give the Forbidden Library to that person. That wasn't my goal at all. By making a promise to wait for that person to come to her, I want to find out who she will choose to be that person. So, like, what? I mean, is it anything beyond just this kind of curiosity, right? Like, man. Her inability to choose anyone so easily all this time, and wanting to die as she agonized over whether to keep upholding the contract or not, are also results of that. How do you feel about that? I think it's wonderful. She's so inhuman. Yeah, no kidding. An unfathomable monster beyond all comprehension. He will take Beatrice's hand. Yeah, he will free her. And I think it will be very meaningful, because I think their situations, in a sense, are similar, right? Beatrice and Subaru, I think there's some very clear emotional connections between, like, their mentality about things, right? Yeah, yeah. And Amelia, honestly, all three of them, I think they have similar struggles, right? And maybe Satella as well, but not that we know that much about her, right? It's kind of, maybe that's just kind of an overall theme about the whole show at this point, right? Is this exploration of like relationships in this way, right? And like whether or not there is a that person, I suppose, is kind of an important part of that, right? So Satella shows up. Didn't realize Satella could do that, could show up here. But she's coming, so the witch's tea party. She's here. She is here. We got all the colors, I guess, right? For all the witches in a way. So hey. Alright. Well, that was a good episode. I don't know. I don't know. We are not much closer to figuring out what to actually do about this situation. I feel like I normally have like a good idea of like what Subaru emotionally needs to overcome in order to succeed in an arc, right? The main emotional thing that Subaru's facing in this arc is his mentality about return by death, him not valuing himself enough, all that kind of stuff, right? Like putting himself below others in terms of like their problems, right? Not being on an equal playing field in his relationships in that way, right? But even if he does that, even if he like fixes that, right? How does that help him in this situation, right? Will it just be his mentality about Amelia and like helping support her in the trial? Will that be like the solution to everything? Will it be him forming this contract with Beatrice, taking her hand and fixing that, and the way that relates to his own problems and like the similarity he has with like Beatrice in that way? Will that be like the emotional thing he needs to overcome that will somehow lead to everything being fixed in this arc? I don't know. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. So yeah, I guess that's it. So please subscribe if you enjoy my videos. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. And I will see you in the next one.